Hey everyone, good morning. How's it all going? Hey, Y3. How's it going, buddy? Thanks for the feedback. Standing up for the AMA sessions. Okay, so anonymous questions. Cool. Yeah, it's been for a couple of weeks now that I've been thinking about how I should go forward with these. I've been liking the feedback, like the overpaints that I'm doing. So maybe make that more prevalent and just focus on that. Maybe change the name of these sessions a little bit. Could also work. It's just I'm thinking about it a lot right now. Well, just in particular to the AMA sessions, right? Because I think it could, like in my opinion, I think it's interesting to get feedback on your work from just any industry professional, right? So that makes me wonder why not a lot of people do it. Maybe it's intimidating. Could be a part of it. Maybe the timing is just awful because a lot of people might not be active on a Sunday, right? Because they just want to chill out on a Sunday. Maybe that's a part of it. I'll need to do like a poll and see if we can make better use of this time and make it more available for everyone. Overpaints are very helpful. It's definitely... Oh, is it intimidating? Okay. Because I've always wondered about it. Like... Because there's... And at first you need to get over the hurdle of like presenting your work in public, right? Or like at least to me, or like to the people in the community. And then I'm also putting it on Twitch too. So maybe that's like another layer of intimidation that's built on top of it. Yeah, interesting. Hey, Bikes. How's it going, buddy? But that's good to know that it's intimidating. I need to see if I can do something about that. Just came home after a too long night. What kind of night are we talking about? Like a professional one? Or... or an indecent night? I mean, indecent might be a big word in this thing. Yeah. So yeah, what's on the menu today, right? We have no questions this week, which is refreshing. And we have one overpaint that I'm going to be looking at in a bit. It's just going to be a little bit of chatting before we dive into like an overpaint from Ovie. Wants a little bit of help on a composition. Good morning, Josh. How's it going? Oh, Raj is here as well. Oh, gee. How's it going, Raj? How's it going, Josh? A long barbecue session with the homies. Oh, dude, that sounds good. That sounds good. It's been a long time since I had barbecue. I think the last time... Oh god, the last time we went for a Korean barbecue, I think? That was like with some people from the community as well. Like here in Berlin. And that's... that's almost... probably longer than 2 years ago. Jesus. Doing good. Gotta get some personal work done today. Jesus, all caps? That's nice, man. You still working on the piece that we did an overpaint for, right? Yee. Nice. Made some changes to it? Oh, cool. A long week for Joshua. I got to work for my teacher this week. And the job was to optimize models so they can be launched on a website. Oh, okay. That sounds like an interesting opportunity, though. So they can be launched on a website. Awesome. Do you know which website it's gonna be? Like what kind of thing is it? Is it like an asset package or... Oh, and the 3D artist who modeled the models just beveled every edge. Oh god. Oh. That's so bad. Just an oven website? Okay, cool. That's interesting. I mean, if it's for like pre-rendered stuff, then it doesn't really matter that much if it's beveled or not. If it's going to be like a real-time thing, maybe you need to keep it in mind. Because it needs to be performant on like the website, right? But yeah, I hope for you that it's just like uniform bevels instead of like bevels that are all over the place. Because uniform bevels you can just merge together really quickly and then do like a bit of a cleanup. Or else, might be screwed, buddy. Just an oven website. That's cool though. Depends. Oh man. Yeah, that's not a good situation to be in. You'll fix it. Some models were easy because you can merge them, but some are weirdly triangulated. Oh yeah, on top of that also triangulated or subdivided. Yep. That is those things are a pain. You need to clean them up. I've done a lot of cleanup like that myself as well. Sometimes when you get meshes from concept art and you wanna reuse that mesh, you think that it'll probably be really quick to clean it up. You might be surprised. And this is not to throw concept art under the bus, right? Because they don't need to give a shit about the poly count. So they're just focused on speed. Which is what we need from them as well, to figure our stuff out before we start doing production on it. Oh god. Then I guess I'm prepared for concept artist. Exactly, this is your training. Right? See it as that. You're just training to become like or like training to clean up models from concept artists. Yeah, I've seen some pretty horrific stuff as well. I think the worst thing that I've seen is when they duplicate sections of a model, and then because they have some auto merge thing going on, like some of the vertices are merged and some of them aren't. And cleaning that up is just like, oh my god, I'm just gonna recreate this thing. Like, there's no way that you can make that work. Like at that point it's just about like reproducing the shape by yourself. Yeah, remodel is much faster. Yeah, exactly. But you know, sometimes you think like you don't know how bad it is until you start cleaning it up, and then halfway through the cleanup you're like, oh damn, this is not good. And then by the time that you realize that, then it's already too late, and you just have to keep going with like the cleanup. It's already too far gone. I've had so many situations like that. Basically me this week. Yep. Look, you're gonna go through like a couple of these things in your career, I think. I've definitely had my fair share as well. I even sometimes make the mistake now, where like I check the model, right? And then I'm like, okay, I can make this work with just a bit of cleanup. I can do this and that to it. And then there's this one piece to That's just like completely fucked up. And I still make the mistake of trying to clean it up first. So it's like, no, let it go. Just build it from scratch. Was happy to have the opportunity this week. Hell yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting one. I think it's always cool to have something on a website or something in the public eye as sort of like your first professional work, right? I hate to clean up my cat naps. Do you have to do a lot of cleanup in them? Because it's probably... Is it Boolean stuff? Yeah, right, and it probably doesn't give a shit about like the interior polys that much. I don't know, I've never worked in cat. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Cool. I mean, I did work in CAD, but we're talking about like, what was it? Like, oh my god, I can't even remember. Like it was CAD. It was, oh my god, it was like high contrast, black and white. Well, not black and white. It was like high contrast. The background was black, and the lines were either red or green. It was like more technical drawing than like actual modeling. This is some old school shit that I'm talking about. Not even... AutoCAD? Might be it. Guess. Oh god. Serious flashback theme. Sometimes just flat endguns, but the organic shapes are always fucked up. Yeah, I can only imagine. Hey, Leon! Happy Sunday, man! Oh god, yeah. It was like an... It's like an old version. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't explain that the wireframe view, you can change that, and we just only modeled in wireframe. Because the only thing I remember is, let's give an example. So the only thing that I can remember, let me switch my screen here. That's the thing that I can remember doing. Like these things were my first introduction to like 3D. And it was literally that. Like it was 2D. Like it was yeah, it was just this. Like just really simple line modeling. Like no 3D and like no rotation or something like that. It was just like 2D lines with like lots of measurements, because this was when I was going through technical school, right? I started to become like a car mechanic or something like that, and we had to draw these blueprints basically with like really accurate measurements. I remember when I worked in the CAD software for construction and architecture, basically drawing blueprints of buildings. It was so ugly and cumbersome. Yeah, that's probably this one, right? Or like something like this. It just oh god. Freaking memories, man. Hey, Oki. How's it going? that already blew their mind. Yeah, I didn't even know that you could do 3D at this point. I was like, oh my god, this is like a program that can accurately measure what you put into it. I didn't even know that 3D existed at that point. Probably... Oh god, what time are we talking about here? 2003? Something like that? God damn it. Yeah, probably 2003 or something. Maybe even older. Nah, what am I saying? Nah, it's probably 2007 or something like that. Anyway. Oh, the roots. Okay, cool. We don't have any questions today, right? So I'm just gonna dive straight into one of the overpaints. We got a picture here from Ovie. Let me switch my screen. There we go. Let me bring up my tools. There we go. I know that my face is in the way, but that's alright. You're not missing out on like the red or the blue pen. I promise. Okay. Let's have a look-see here. Let's move over. So first of all, let's have a look at what Ovie asked from us, right? The blue pen, no. Let's have a look here. So Ovie says in the community chat that he hasn't been happy with the blockouts composition for a while and I can't just figure it out. I'm not sure if this composition is interesting enough. How can I make this composition feel less flat, straightforward, have areas of rest, and also have lots of room for plant life and fishes? I'm also unsure if I need to make the background have larger shapes, so it feels like there's a background. Let's have a look here. And he sent 3 pictures in. Let me just give you an indication. So this is the first one. More like a zoomed out one, right? And then this is like a third one. And the reason why I picked this one, first of all, is because this is achieving what you wanted to do in the beginning. You wanted to have the monument feel really tall, right? And that's what we're achieving with having the camera more zoomed out, or like lower down, and like looking up to this structure, which is really nice. And you can see that by like all the vanishing lines, like pulling towards one point. You can really easily see that with all these blockout pieces that you have. Like if you were to zoom out from like a long distance, like the composition is basically doing this. And this makes everything feel larger than it is, because it has like this vanishing point. So that's why I picked this one. I think it's a really good example of what you can do. Now, there are some issues here though. First of all, with this composition, or with this framing, this being so close to the edge doesn't work. You need to zoom out the camera a bit. You need to give the monument some space to breathe. That's the first thing I would say. So at least, I mean, there's no set rule to this, right? But at least make it so that your frame has like, that the edge of your frame has like this sort of distance, so that if you have this shape sort of here, right? You need to give it some space here for it to not touch the frame itself. So that's the first thing I would say. Give it some space to breathe. I'm just gonna make some annotations here, right? Space. 2. 3. That's the first thing. And if you're gonna pull back the camera, what is also gonna happen, and that's the second thing that I'm kind of missing, is the length of this path. Like especially in the older version, you had this nice lead up of the path leading up to your frame, right? So you get that back if you pull the camera out a bit, and if you keep this sort of distance from the floor and still have it look up, just pull it back. So that's the second thing, and that's basically solving those two things at once. Now, I'm probably gonna switch back to the other one because it gives me a bit more room to draw on this whole picture. So yeah, let's have a look here. You can definitely tell, right? Like from going from this one, which is like super confined, super claustrophobic, because the edges are touching the top of the frame and the lead up of the path is sort of squished in. That this feels a bit more claustrophobic compared to this one, which feels more open. But thinking back at the last one, what this one is missing is the dominance of the main structure. So moving the camera down in this one and then angling it up again will help in that. So it doesn't matter if you start from this one or from the other one. Just make sure that the camera is low, angled up, and sort of at this distance. And that's how you're gonna get like a good framing, especially for the camera. Now, hold on, let's go full screen again. Oh, let's open up some of the questions too. Keep referencing that. The main topic here is about the composition not being interesting, right? Like a composition doesn't need to be elaborate for it to be interesting. And I think the composition that we have here can work. It just depends on how you're gonna fill in the space, right? And like you said, how you're gonna have areas of rest too. Because with this overgrown coral, like imagine... how am I gonna do this? Like imagine that like all of this is gonna be overgrown. It's gonna add a lot of detail to the silhouette, right? So all of this is gonna be overgrown. All of this is gonna have like nice vibrant colors, which there's nothing bad about it, right? That's kind of what you want. You want to have that overgrown coral look, which is gonna bring like uniqueness to your structures. But what you need to do with the coral is make it so that it doesn't completely get rid of the architectural features that you are trying to include here. So what I would do is, instead of having it completely overgrown, I would have a gradient. So you would have it overgrown till here. You had this nice shape here, and just so for a sec. These sections are overgrown. These need to go, because then you can see that this is like an architectural piece underneath, right? Same here. Have it overgrown up until this sort of point, right? And then just leave these architectural pieces to speak for themselves, because they have a nice silhouette by themselves. Same here, just do quick indication. Same here. Also, when it comes to the architecture, now that we're talking about that, make sure that it's consistent. this isn't really realistic. This is, but this is completely different from this, right? So stick with one shape. What I would probably do is maybe simplify the shape a little bit, because usually what happens with these pillars, if you look at references, I think these are like Corinthian pillars. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are Corinthian pillars, and these support they normally support like the roof structure, right? So this little thing that's sticking out of it doesn't make sense, and it's just adding detail for detail's sake, which doesn't need to be there. So yeah, if you simplify these, and if you just duplicate this one here as well, so we have like this pillar structure here. It's going to create some cohesion in the scene, which is going to be nice. And then this one is okay if you're going to have it destroyed, because these are usually made out of sections anyway, right? So this is like one section, and then maybe there's like another section here or something. And same for these pillars, like this is going to be one section. That's okay. You can have these destroyed ones, especially if you're going to get rid of the coral here. Let this silhouette by himself shine. Don't worry about adding detail everywhere, because that's not what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is you're looking for contrast between elements. So that's why I pushed the coral down. So we just have like this nicely detailed silhouette here, and that becomes less as it grows up, right? And then you just let the architectural pieces like speak for themselves. Again, just as the last point, if you're adding these architectural pieces, try to include them here as well. So we'll probably have like a pillar that's going out here. And then you have like the main pillar going down, right? It's all about repetition of these elements, because the more you repeat the same element, the more cohesive it's going to feel in the end. Like, they're not going to mix building styles. You got to be careful with that. So let's have a look. We have like this nice pillar here. Then the other thing is about the pathway leading up onto it, right? That's probably like the biggest piece in your environment. I would have a look at how you're gonna dress this up. Just get my... Oh shit, I removed it. No! Why did I do that? So stupid. Okay. Let me just quickly sketch that back in. I was gonna say about the path. You need to find a transition between these pillars and like these overgrown coral pieces, and where they're gonna merge with the path itself. Right? That's really important that you kind of do that. Hold on. Anyway, you get the idea, right? It's actually so fun to just sketch with this. Whee! I'll just add the coral back in because that's going to be important. So you have the coral here. Because you need to think about how this is going to be constructed, right? Or how this was constructed before it was sunken beneath the ocean, right? So we want to think about that. Because usually what happens is you have like a path, And then on the outside of the path, that's where you would see these pillars, right? Because they would probably frame, if I do like a quick little sketch to the side. How would that be? This is the top-down version, right? So let's just draw a square. This is your main path. Looks more like a wrath, but anyway. Path. Trust me, guys. What usually happens is you have the main path, and then you would have these pillars on the outside of it. Right? Sort of framing the path. And you can see that all over the place. Like, especially if you go to European cities. I think you can even see it in like buildings of importance in the US as well. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Like these buildings that need to convey strength and stability. Like usually they do it like that because the repetition helps with conveying that mood. What you need to do here is you kind of need to replicate this, right? So you have all these architectural pieces, but currently they are disconnected from the path itself. So you need to find a way how to make them integrated with them. So you would probably have a pathway leading up here. So like a staircase here, staircase here. That's all good. Path can be, it doesn't have to be straight. But then for this giant monument, there would probably need to be like it's almost like a shrine or like a pedestal that you're creating, right? So I'm thinking that there's like this giant cylinder that is standing, which was probably at some point like marked with some of these pillars as well. Right, so you have a path going up here, you have a staircase going up here. So let's make a staircase, this is 1, 2. And then once you come up to this pedestal, that's where you have this giant thing standing. Now, to make the two fit, we need to either make this circle like really big. Right, we're talking about something like that. And then maybe have some pillars on the outside, which are like nicely broken up to point towards the thing. And then maybe we can have like one at the back that's a little bit taller because that doesn't bother with like the main thing at all. But you can see that we're adding structure to it. Like we're adding things to it that make architectural sense. And then we can do the same thing with the path here as well. Like if this is a pillar that was there before, we can have this pillar here. But what we need to do is we need to make sure that this is part of like a collapsed section or something. Right? This is like a piece that collapsed from the main path. And then you would probably see, let's make it a little bit clearer, right? Let's get rid of all this. My little scribblies. So if you wanted to do something like that, it needs to almost be like this path cracked and it split apart, and then like a piece fell down here with the pillar attached to it. That's how you need to think about it, because it's going to tie these two things together. Because, again, I'm thinking about this the entire time, right? This is super important. I'm thinking about the main path, and then all the pillars that are attached to the path itself. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm thinking about like, okay, we have these columns that are right beside the path. If this were like a sunken temple, how would they have reacted to it being sunken, right? It needs to split off into like multiple pieces. And you can do the same thing over here, and then maybe have like, I don't know, like a little bit of of like a pillar head sticking out here. Right? It's like it's almost like a cliff that's falling apart. That's how you need to look at it. And then what you can do is then you think about the history behind it. Like once you have the basic fundamentals of like the architecture in place, where it sort of makes sense that you have this path with these columns right beside it and like the columns fell apart, then you can start dressing it up with the coral. And that's where we need to think about like, okay, so the coral is growing up to here on this pillar. Maybe it would also like grow on top of this. And then maybe it's taking over the path as well. We do this in a different color. So this is all coral, right? Then it like takes over the path and then it takes over the staircase. And you can kind of see that it's already like taking over this section. That it's slowly starting to spread all over this pathway. And this is where we get back to your point about the areas of rest. If we do that on the opposite side as well. So we have all this, we have like all this stuff growing on top of it. I'll pick another color as well. Keep the central path, keep that clean. Make it a little bit mossy, make it a little bit damaged, like wear and tear, right? But you want to keep this flow, you want to keep that intact. So that if you start adding the coral here, we have this super nice contrast of all these really lush colors that you can see here, right? Like the pinks and the blues and the orange and the greens. You want to add that on the sides, but then keep the core path, keep that nice and clean. So that you have this nice leading of you have this nice leading of the eye towards the main element. But you can see really quickly that the composition is good in this piece. But you have to kind of imagine how it's going to look like when you add in all these architectural, like structural, logical pieces. Right? So you add these pillars, you add like bits of broken stuff that fell apart, like with the pillars attached to, again, emphasize this. And then you start adding coral to it. But this is quickly gonna fill up. So, look. Okay, I can't go back now. Yeah, this is what I mean with the areas of rest, right? You want to keep the central path, you want to keep that somewhat clean, so that you have this area of rest going all the way through the image. And then just leading up to like this nice big element that you have here. I know that the overpaint is a little bit messy, but I hope it works. What do you all think about it in the chat? Feel free to just let me know. We'll be interested in hearing your ideas about it too. So while I'm doing like a little bit of an overpaint to indicate like coral and all that stuff. Because like all the green is coral, so let's make sure. We add something like that here. Coral. Yeah, I think the coral is going to be like a really important point to tie this all together. you want to really build up these connections between the pillars, like the architectural pieces, and like the main path itself. You just want to build that up as much as possible and have them connected, and have like these structures of coral almost building up against the entire pathway. It's quite nice. I think that you're making some very good points with your overpaint. I can really see it coming together. Yeah, I think honestly that's probably the biggest thing that is currently, I wouldn't say lacking, but probably the difficult thing for people to imagine, right? We can see the block out, but we can't really imagine like how it's gonna look like in the end. But I mean, especially in the beginning, when you start to build your own worlds and your own scenes, that's probably the most difficult part. It's like, okay, I got all these random bricks here. Like, how do I go to like the final piece? Right? So yeah, that's just really important. And I think that was the main thing that Ovie was also looking for, is like, okay, I have all this random stuff here. How do I tie it together? And how do I make it like a cohesive picture? So yeah, I really hope this helps. I'm just adding some more pillars in the background, right? Again, just to reinforce the architecture of the whole thing. This is like a pillar in the foreground. So what I'm doing with this large pedestal in the back that we kind of need to help support this giant monolithic structure is I'm sort of creating this, let me have a look. This nice cradling composition, right? So that you have these pillars and they sort of build up to the structure itself. Because this is one in the foreground, it goes to the one in the background and then curves around and just goes up again. That's what I'm trying to do with these pillars. Plus, it also really helps just to have this big pedestal in the back. That's really structurally sound, right? Like, it makes sense for it to be there because it needs to support a giant structure like this. And then it also has the added benefit of just creating some extra depth here. Because we're looking at this pedestal in the back. And we can just add some coral to that again. Right? We can have these structures coming up to it. And this is going to help with the depth. Because the thing that's sort of annoying about having a 2D overpaint like this with no opacity filter is that this structure here is not going to be at the same intensity as the structure in the forefront. So you're automatically going to get that nice depth from like the water depth. You're going to get that in this picture, which is going to help separate the different layers of the foreground and then the background itself. And also, this was one of the questions that Ovie had too, is would I need to make like giant structures in the background, right? Because you already added some here. You can add maybe one or two here and there. I think the subtlety of them right now really works. But if you have this pedestal here with like all these pillars, you don't need it. Or like, well, not apart from the stuff that you already have. I think that's way more than enough. So yeah. That's it. Thanks so much for sending your work in, Ovie. I appreciate it. It's fun doing these overpaints and thinking about all these pieces and how they're gonna come out. Alright, cool. Yeah, I'm excited for this one too. Maybe some recommendations, right? apart from all the stuff that we already talked about, like making it structurally sound and having all the coral grow up to like certain areas and all that stuff, and like having the area of rest. Apart from that, my recommendation is definitely try to make these coral pieces into like modular chunks. Just have like, I don't know, have like chunks that are like almost, I wouldn't say blob-like because it's not like a good way to word it, but almost have like these pieces by themselves that you can just almost puzzle together, right? And like shove into each other so that you can really speed up the work of like all these coral bits. Because usually like the core of it is like solid coral, right? And then you have like these pieces, right? Like these nice pieces that are sticking out. Finding a balance between that is gonna be tricky. So try to do it in a modular way as possible. And also find a good way of blending it with the pillars. So you can add in some modular pieces, but then also maybe have like a coral layer that you can paint on the architectural pieces to sort of blend between the two to help that transition. Gonna be lit when it's done. Yeah, exactly. I think this is a cool piece. It's a lot of work though. This is a lot of work. So yeah, again, just think about reusing as much as possible, right? Like maybe even make like a modular kit out of these building pieces here too. Think about modularity and like a lot of the aspects, like the wait, let me make a note here, right? So modularity. Whoop. So what can be modular? The whole architectural piece, like the whole architecture kit. Architecture. Oh Jesus Christ! I can't spell. Okay, you get it, right? Architecture kit can be modular. The whole the coral bits would probably be modular too. Coral pieces. Then you could probably do the staircases too. Honestly, there's not that much of a benefit to it. Especially if it's only 2 pieces, you can just reuse those pieces. And just cover up the pieces that look repetitive with the coral. I'll just add it in here too. Stairs, and then obviously all the foliage, right? It's gonna be super modular. It's gonna fill up a lot of space. Foliage. So that means that this piece is definitely going to be unique. No question about that. Whoop. And I think that's good. You spend a lot of time creating this unique piece here. And the rest of it can just be as modular as possible. So maybe you have like 3 chunks to make a pillar, and you can just combine them into like different configurations to make them smaller or taller, right? And the rest of it is just as modular as possible. I think that's good. Hell yeah! All right, cool. Yeah, good luck, Ovie. Work smart, not hard, right? It's always a good motto to strive by. Whoop. There we go. Damn, the music is extra smooth today. Yeah, it's a new playlist. It's groovy. I like it. Hell yeah! Awesome. So that's it. I think that was it that we had today. Still an hour though. Pretty good. Okay. it's time for me to do some personal work as well. Gonna be taking a little break and then be diving into my little noodle shop. Might be jumping into chat later on today as well. If you wanna drop by. Yeah, it was awesome to have you all here. And as always, I'll be back next Sunday. Hopefully doing some more Overpaints. I'll need to send out a poll as well to see if we can improve these sessions. Maybe the timing of them, maybe make it a little bit less intimidating for some people that want to send in their work. That could be nice. But yeah, it's all good. Yeah, and if you want to, as always, if you want to check out our work, the community and all that jazz, it's beyondextent.com. And you can find all the information and all sorts of environment art goodness over on the site. So yeah, check it out. All right. Have a nice Sunday, everyone. Thanks for being here. And thanks for being awesome. Keep it up. See ya.